Good afternoon. Is it Wednesday, January 5th. All these little quizzes I have in. I want to talk a bit about, like the shirt? Somebody get the joke? The bus I drive is manufactured by Gillig. I'm going to talk about working method. And I guess I'm not sure quite how to put this. And what counts as normal? Okay. So, thanks to the internet, I can be on some posts with people who are in a wide range of learning arcs as potters. It used to just be like me, somebody would take a class in college and turn out they like it, and either they would switch to it then or come back to it later or something like that. Now I'm in a position to observe or chat with people who are potentially completely self-taught or who have come to it from a community arts center background or so forth. That has its own problems, because then of course you get into conversations and you don't know what the other person in the conversation doesn't know. It was in many ways easier when everyone could just say, "Oh, I'm in ceramics 3 at the University of such and such," and all the other people in that conversation understood. With this kind of diversity of education in ceramics, we also come into, what's normal, what's correct, what's useful. And in this case, I was remarking to myself the other day when I got interrupted doing one of these demos about the issue of peace and quiet in the studio. And as you can tell, right now it's very quiet. And I don't want to give the impression that very quiet is the normal way I work. On the other hand, I do work at the quiet end of the spectrum. So if there are sounds, there are incidental sounds from the household above. There's the occasional sound of a cat complaining about something. Or there's the music I've intentionally added, or the book on CD that I'm intentionally listening to as background. All relatively quiet, but not as quiet as this particular moment. When you are starting off, unless you are, completely self-taught, you are probably in a group studio. That can be in a university class, that can be an art center class, that can be in a private pay-to-play studio, whatever. But what you're stuck with there is the ambient noise of the group studio. And various studios have different standards. There's some sort of radio or background music playing all the time. Some you're listening or trying not to listen to 5 different conversations at the same time. Some it's not a whole bunch of conversation, but maybe you've got an instructor that is yammering all the time, either for your benefit or somebody else's. Anyway, it can be hard to work your way towards something as quiet as, for instance, I'm experiencing right now. And depending on how you were brought up and what your background is, there's a version of quiet that is too quiet. That somehow modern brains have been set up to require one or more levels of background noise. Whatever. I do know that if you have the music on, it can also be the wrong music. I mean, it sounds absurd, but it's not. The music you make to classical, or the pots you make listening to classical music, could well be different than the ones you make listening to rock and roll or, folk music or whatever. I mean, you could have an influence. I don't know. And that can be one of the main reasons why some group studios actually forbid music. Because what's right for you is potentially dead wrong for the person at the wheel next to you, or whatever. I cannot recommend headphone or earphones if there's a wire. I mean, you do not want to have anything that's going to potentially reach out and grab the clay or be grabbed by the clay. I mean, they've got the wireless ones. Even then, I'm not sure. Whoop, there it goes into the slops bucket. I don't know. So for myself, I'm leading up to what I'm hoping to be some work in some shared studios as an instructor. And I'm realizing that it's been a long time since I've been trying to make work in a shared space under their noise rules. And that's going to be a challenge. Because there's that version of, what do you put up with and what do you refuse to put up with? I could see, turning to a group of people and saying, I get that you're having an important conversation, but since it doesn't appear to be about clay, I need for you to have it somewhere where I'm not listening. I'm willing to be that guy. And luckily, because I have my own studio, I get to be that guy without having to be that guy. I get to set the conditions, mostly, of my studio. When you're creating your own studio, that's part of the dynamic. Is like, and I know some people who really thrive in group spaces. They have a hard time working when they're working alone. So there's no one way. You just gotta tweak it and hopefully improve the way you do it. Good luck.